Each year it is estimated that over 17,000 children are separated from their mothers. Jamie was one of them. His mother, Audrey, spent 6 months behind bars after she committed her second offence. Her youngest, Ollie, was with her in prison. Women can have their infants with them in mother and baby units until their child is 18 months old. Audrey had committed 2 previous minor offences before she was ultimately sent to prison. A 12-month-old spent some time behind bars with her before she was released for good behaviour. Audrey takes much pride in raising her kids, but it has been difficult to deal with guilt.
Well, I mean, it's really, really awful because you feel they're just slipping away. You know, you feel without power, you can't really affect their lives anymore. Well, I kind of got to a point where I felt pretty low. I felt a little depressed. I didn't know what I wanted to do, really.
England has 13 women's prisons, 4 in Greater London, including Holloway, North London. Only 18 young children can be accommodated with their mothers in mother and baby units. But there are 6,000 children under 5-year-old who are affected by the imprisonment of their mother. Places on units are highly sought after, although the rooms are not always full. Justice often neglects community service sentences despite the fact that it can keep families together.
It's funny because I have friends, you know, they were given community services, and one worked on a playground. She was building slides and stuff. I would have liked that.
When a woman is sent to prison, it is not just she who is punished, but her children too. But little account is generally taken of their needs.
Well, I think there's two reasons why prisoners' children need support. Because having a parent in prison undoubtedly has an impact on children, and generally they have poor outcomes. They don't do as well in school, though obviously there are exceptions to all that rule, and some families are fine, but generally there is a concern they don't do as well, and they may be at risk of offending later in life as they grow up. But the problem with having more mother and baby units is it's like the M25 effect. The more motorways you have, the more cars you have, the more mother and baby units we have, and I think the solution is actually to keep mothers and babies in the community.
Almost 2/3 of women are in prison for non-violent offences. So what is prison for?
As a society, we have an ever-changing view on what prison is for. I don't think there is a view on what prison is for. If you go out and ask the general public, they would probably just say punishment. Or is it about rehabilitation? Actually, prison is about protecting society, in theory. So if it's about protecting society, women who pose no risk should not be sent to prison.
For far too many women, distance and time in prison is not only damaging their relationship with their family, but also to themselves. Workshops may be available to women in prison to prevent social alienation, but are they really effective?
Yeah, I think, especially in prison where there's very little space where you can really be yourself, you know, you're just dehumanized. I mean, that's partly how people are punished, by having their individuality denied. So in a poetry workshop, you kind of come back to yourself, you know, because it's your thoughts, it's your words, it's what you want to say.
There are benefits for both society and women to be sentenced to community services. They are less likely to reoffend in the future, and their children have more chances to fully integrate to society. A unique nationwide survey for the Prison Reform Trust already showed in 2010 that 3/4 of people do not think mothers of young children who commit non-violent crimes should be locked up. It was only the first time the public was asked how to reduce crime committed by a woman. But there are still questions we may ask, for example, how expensive are community sentences.
The cost of sending a woman to prison is about £56,000 a year at the moment. The cost of a woman receiving support and supervision in a community centre is much, much less than that.
If alternatives to prison were to achieve an additional reduction of just 6% in reoffending, the state would recover the costs required to achieve this in just 1 year.
Without strong government leadership, we're not going to get that coordinated approach to the problems that drive women's offending and that need to be tackled if women are going to be able to turn their lives around.
A week ago, while we were investigating, the Justice Minister, Helen Grant, announced that courts will be encouraged to give more community sentences to women offenders. The sentences will include curfew or unpaid work. Mrs. Grant also promised new policies to ensure that women are housed as close as possible to their homes. This is an essential change to the current legislation, but only time will tell how effective this can be for the thousands of women imprisoned in the UK. But for women like Audrey, this is more than just numbers. Staying in the community, although they are still serving a sentence, is giving them a second chance. As women, but more importantly, as mothers. This is Maeva Gonzalez for City News.